This run, but the hope is that you go right for the palm and you pray you get a fountain. Is every enemy attack dodgeable in Hades theoretically? Yes. There are no mandatory hits in Hades. In theory, everything is avoidable. However, there are certain patterns, especially in the Extreme Measures 4 Hades fight, where if you only have one dash, imagine you got, you know, just a certain set of ads, like a bunch of butterfly balls in the first phase of the Hades fight, and then Hades is doing his spin move, you know what I mean? And then throwing this or that at you. It's kind of hard to explain, but being able to outmaneuver those things comes to a near impossibility, especially if you don't have the shield's ball rush. The ads in the Hades fight are often what I think that's what's usually killer a lot of times. We hit tight deadline, and we didn't even get anywhere near Meg, unfortunately. Routine inspection's most brutal part? They're all terrible. I mean, if you want to look at it another way, what's the worst, lowest heat combination you can do? And I think the answer to that is it only takes 8 heat to max out routine inspection. You have no death defiances, you have 1 dash, you don't get as many boons, you don't get as good a rarity on the boons, you don't get any rerolls. That's only 8 heat. That's only 8 heat. I think routine inspection they probably should have thrown some more heat values at it. They probably could have done 3 heat for each. That would have raised the max possible heat done in Hades, but that's kind of arbitrary in some ways, right? I think they maybe should have done that, just because most people, I really would not recommend putting any points into routine inspection on the Pact until you're in, like, the 50s. How much is max approval? It's 3 for each, right? So it's 6 heat for that. Lately on Twitch, we tried some runs where we just turned off the things that make the game less fun. We did essentially the most heat we could, but we got rid of the things that kind of just make the game a lot less fun. And you might not guess it. So approval process, routine inspection, we got rid of. We did some runs like this, and I actually had quite a bit of fun trying to do it. But I also got rid of convenience fee. And so the reasoning behind it, you only wind up at 49 heat once you get rid of all those things. The reasoning behind it is part of the fun of Hades, right? Is being able to make decisions. I want to buy this thing, and I want to be able to choose one of 3 boons instead of being forced one, and I want to have some rerolls, and I want to have the chance to get a dual boon, and things like that. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of made a quote-unquote high heat run actually quite interesting. You know, because the challenge is still there. The enemies are still... Okay. One of the worst. This is one of the worst hammers on the field in general. That was really bad. That sounds about right to me. What's up, Raven? Hydraulic might, whatever. Something to sell, I guess. Shadow Shackle, we solved the RNG problem. It's interesting. And I think there was a runner that recently had a run where they beat an extraordinary amount of heat with Zeus aspect, but it wasn't with Zeus's special boon. I don't know that much about it. That's sort of the power of explosive return potentially there. I think there's like some things about it, but if you're gonna do a Shadow Shackle run, it does mean that you're not gonna have a defensive keepsake ever, right? You could hope to get, you could delay getting a special boon until later this way, But you also can never palm it, you know, and things like that. Come here. That trial. We only have 1:48. We're only at chamber 9. Oh, that's painful. Ooh, that's painful. You gotta go this way. Shackle gives less damage to Zoo Special. I think, yeah, I mean, if you have an epic Zoo Special and a few palms in it, yeah, the Zoo Special is definitely going to be a little bit better. But I guess, if you're wondering, like, is the Shackle viable enough? I think it's... maybe. You're kind of trading the RNG for one place for another. Everything's gonna be a little bit slower, but you don't need all that special boom stuff, potentially, right? So the run's going to be a little slower overall, but if you get lucky enough rooms, maybe it's still doable, if that makes sense. So you could get like really lucky, like fountain rooms, event rooms, chaos gates, and things like that using the Shattered Shackle. But the boss fights are also going to take quite a bit longer. We got Boldy. Yeah, the Shackle adds to consistency, but I think what you would find, and this is what I find when I do high heat Shackle runs, especially with Aspect of Hestia, is that they start off a lot better. They start off super consistent and very strong, but then by the time you get to Elysium, you've really fallen off a bit of a cliff. Like, I think that because the damage, you can't really scale it up reliably at all with the Shackle, no palms, and other things. Beating like the heroes and the dad fight in the time limit is very, very difficult, I think. Press 100k, thank you so much. What did Boldy give us? 4% damage reduction, blessed. That was chamber 11. This is the final chamber of Tartarus. Can we see the Furies, at least for one run? Can we see Asphodel today? I don't know if we got the deadline under control this run to really see Asphodel here, unfortunately. I only got to Asphodel once in my offline attempts. And then I was like, you know what, that's enough. Once was enough. Never couldn't even see Lerny though, it just died to the deadline. "30 seconds. Oh, the witches got me. I tried to play quickly and it didn't work out. What can you do? We tried though. Having to take Chaos Gates with 100% lasting consequences. Yeah, this is actually one that I would love to get more feedback from the community over in terms of what's necessary, you know what I mean? God, it's hard to say. I guess it really depends on where you get the boons, when you get what they call greed out the damage. Like, we can't rest on my what? My lorries? Do I have any mods on? No mods whatsoever. Boom. At kitty cats. Ooh, yum. DLC with new gods and weapons. How is it only 97%? 90? It's one of the highest rated games on Steam of all time. Half of the negative reviews are just jokes and memes. It's the truth. Even if they made DLC for the game and stuff, right? Oh my god. You know what? We're gonna try this one just because Charge Shot is considered a good hammer here. Even if they made DLC for the game or free updates, I don't think that necessarily means that the base game would be better or anything like that. I don't think more people would have enjoyed the base game for that matter. Come on. Come on, Charge Shot. God, that enemy was just very difficult. I don't think Charge Shot is going to cut it. I don't know about this Charge Shot right now. Oh. want to put someone through the challenge that is 64 heat, and I don't necessarily hope that someone like puts in all that exhausting work for something like this. But at the same time, it would be great to be proven wrong. You know, I think that would actually be it would be very interesting. Any way to get more time? Nope. The time carries over between the zones. Yeah, we don't bother continuing this one. We got dash. We've talked about things like I've pitched the idea, at least out loud. Not really like I'm not that I'm going to the studio with the idea or anything like that. But we've discussed the idea behind, in order to resolve type that a little bit. Maybe you could buy more time from shops and stuff. But that kind of goes against the premise of Tight Deadline. They want you to play the game faster and practice doing things faster, you know, clearing the enemies and the bosses faster. So if you're able to circumvent that pact of punishment by simply spending obols in the run, then it kind of goes against the initial principle, I think. It's not obvious that you can get really incredible playstyles going, and until you realize that, I'd argue the game is less fun. I think there are some improvements there where I do think the grind is a bit long in Hades for the average beginning, the person just starting out the game. Yes, I mean that. I think they probably could introduce the weapon aspects a little bit sooner in Hades 2, if not right away, right? Because it's a sequel, so how are they going to work that out, right? So I think that's one thing, like letting beginning players get into the weapon aspects and the other side of the mirror and some other things a little bit quicker. I think would be I think that would be a good idea. Because I think a lot of people, they see the credits before they can really even get more than a few aspects unlocked, really, you know what I mean?